Independence Day often focuses on celebrating things like the signing of the Declaration, which happened 249 years ago today, or the victories of the Revolutionary War that followed.
But there were a series of events that led up to the Declaration, and one of the important ones that is often forgotten happened right here in North Carolina in the fall of 1774, as you'll see in tonight's Buckley Report.
On the coast of North Carolina is a town that has long punched above its revolutionary weight, and its rebellious nature first emerged in 1774 when 51 women looked out at the harbor from a charming home and put a king and his parliament on notice.
It was entirely done by women. Is perhaps the first, if not one of the first, actual organized and recorded political actions by women in America.
People didn't really know how the revolution would turn out, so taking sides against the crown was no small thing.
No. And many North Carolinians were on that fence for a good long while.
High Point University instructor A.J. Jones says this tea tale begins in December of 1773 when Sam Adams and his roustabouts threw 92,000 pounds of tea into Boston Harbor to protest Parliament's taxation through the Tea Act, something that didn't go unnoticed 600 miles south in Edenton, which did a large amount of trade with Boston.
So there was a huge connection there. So when Boston is shut down as a port in June of 1774, that's a third of Edenton's trade, a third of its economic potential that's being lost. And so there was economic motivation to be, sort of in league with Boston.
A woman named Penelope Barker led the southern version of the Tea Party, which happened on October 25th of 1774.
They're not chucking crates of tea over the side of a ship into the water.
Barker and the other society women of Edenton took a much more ladylike method and
wrote out a statement of grievance to Britain that they were going to mail to the king, stating that they would, until the tax on tea was removed and those sorts of things were, their grievances were dealt with. They would not buy imported tea from Britain, and they would not buy imported cloth from Britain.
It was a boycott.
It was, yes.
We are not easily tyrannized.
A documentary produced by the John Locke Foundation and the North Carolina History Project tells the story of what became known as the Edenton Resolves and the 51 women who signed them. And A.J. Jones says that history books show that the English took notice.
This hit the British press, and there were lots of reports in papers and magazines about this, and they drew all kinds of pretty demeaning cartoons. A few of them have survived, and they generally are mocking these women of making them look sort of grotesque in a way.
It shows us how significant the Edenton Tea Party was, because if it was significant enough for them to put it in their newspaper at the time, then it clearly was ruffling some feathers.
In the end, the women of Edenton and the other colonists got the last laugh, proving that these indeed were the United States of America.
The narrative tends to focus almost exclusively on Boston for most of this time, which in a way is understandable, but there were plenty of other people whose lives were being damaged and had grievances and such with this.
It teaches us that no matter what position we are in, we can all contribute. And there were so many things stacked against the women of Edenton at that time, but they did it anyway.
Exhibiting what would become the true American spirit. Bob Buckley, Fox 8 News.
And unlike Boston, which paid a high price for their Tea Party, Edenton went largely unscathed. Jones says partially because at the time protests by women weren't taken seriously.